Lost Louisiana is supported by the Louisiana Department of Culture, Recreation, and Tourism. Through artistic support, libraries, museums, state parks, and historic areas, we're preserving and promoting our cultural heritage. Lost Louisiana is also made possible by the support of viewers like you.
Somewhere around here, the Atchafalaya River begins, but no one can point to the exact spot. You could say it's where the Red River grazes the, for now, immovable Mississippi and ricochets south. But this molasses-colored beauty is picking up speed and leaving the Red River's meandering ways in the North Louisiana dust. Pace its brisk march to the Gulf, and you'll see the Atchafalaya for real. I'm Jeff Dewey. This is not a history, not a biography of the river, but a simple journey. This is our trip down and along and running aside one of Louisiana's great cultural streams. You and I are out for another of our road trips. In search of lost Louisiana, rivers run deep. This is the Atchafalaya. Flowing by here, the stream is still called the Red River. But if the Cajuns had their own empire, this would be Ultima Thule, the northernmost border post up near Marksville. For the Confederates, it was literally an outpost. Fort DeRussy is now a state historic area, but all that remains are graves and splinters of a time when it stood against northern invaders. Today, a poignant gesture will help to reconstruct the memory of this little-known outpost. Today, a Louisiana hero is coming home.
Louis DeRussy, the man for whom the fort was named, was buried in Natchitoches originally. The cemetery in which he was buried has since been abandoned. There are legends of buried gold in the cemetery, and as a result, it's highly vandalized. The graves are constantly dug in. All of the tombstones have been stolen. And when we saw the condition of the general's grave, we decided he would be better honored buried here at the fort that bears his name. We got a court order. We spoke to families of the members of the family, and we had him disinterred by archaeologists from Northwestern State University. The result was the funeral you saw here today.
Steve Mayu has come to pay his respects to General DeRussy and to detail the man's life so we won't forget him. As the caissons slowly return the general, it's striking to see which flag drapes his coffin. If anything this controversial, we might also reflect the service is not for us, but for him.
Louis DeRussy was the oldest West Point graduate to serve in the Confederate Army. He was a major general in the Louisiana State Militia. He served in the War of 1812, the Mexican War, and the Civil War, which is the equivalent of somebody today who had served, or somebody not long ago, who had served in World War I, World War II, and Vietnam. He was a paymaster at Fort Jessup, just outside of Natchitoches, and he also paid Fort Towson up in Oklahoma, further up the Red River. And one time while bringing the payroll up to Fort Towson in 1842, the steamboat sank, he lost the payroll, and as a result, he was canned from the Army. He went into his engineering career. When the Mexican War broke out, he volunteered and went to Mexico as a colonel of a Louisiana regiment. When the Civil War broke out, once again, he volunteered and was colonel of a Louisiana infantry regiment that went up to Virginia. In Virginia, he found his brother, his older brother, at Fortress Monroe, right across the lines from him, and the two brothers would not fight each other. So Louis came back to Louisiana, and Rene had himself sent to California.
Celebrants in remarkable numbers are here. They throw hands full of dirt to his honor. After so much war in his life, General DeRussy will rest in peace on the northern edge of Cajun Louisiana. You and I must make hay now by plunging south. If we follow this link of confused stream into Simmesport, the feel of the Old South can overwhelm. Creaky and dusty are the paths. An amazing icon of high cotton is on sale north of town. Someone is working on it, it seems. A symbol of hospitality beckons a new family. A symbol of homestead beckons us to stop and wonder how much the realtor would ask. Simmesport is a fishing town now, But the steamboats once made it an important trading post on the Atchafalaya. That was before the railroads. At Four Corners Seafood, they buy and skin and sell what the Atchafalaya fishermen catch.
Chris, I need a 30-pound alligator gar. Go get one, please. We buy catfish, sell fish, any kind of fish, just about. Retail, wholesale some. About 90% of our catfish comes from the Atchafalaya. We get some from Mississippi and some from the Toledo Bend area comes in.
And you say you get, one day you got 10,000 pounds?
At one time, one day, our biggest take-in was right at 10,000.
Where in the world did it go? I know that the little people of Sims,
Well, at the time, we were
Simmesport
doing a little
didn't buy it,
wholesale,
huh?
but now we completely quit the wholesale. Our retail business was so good, we just started doing strictly retail.
It's obvious, we know, but still pleasant to ponder that traditions of commerce in this river town are not yet lost.
People are making a living the same way that they've always lived here.
That's, most of you people here, that's all they know. Like a lot of you men that they've never done anything else. Commercial fishing has been their whole way of life.
Well, it's a good life. So
Yeah.
Yep.
you can make some money fishing the Atchafalaya still, can't you?
Oh, yeah. Do you know what you're doing? It's dangerous and it's hard work, but there's money to be made. It was caught in Mississippi River, 6 foot 1 inches long, 121 pounds. And my boyfriend caught it, and he rode around with it on top of the van for about a day and a half. My real father mounted it. His name's Munson.
You know, it's so huge, it doesn't really even look real by now, does it? But it's...
Everybody thinks it was artificial. We got 88 pounds of meat out of it, is what come out of it. It weighed 120 pounds, and after we cleaned it, we got 88 pounds of meat.
This Simmesport landmark seems the right size and shape to be very old. Curious it is. And as so often happens in our lost Louisiana search, just when we want a better look, someone's curious about us. Where are you folks from? Yep, that's my store.
All right.
Retired policeman and retired
This
taxidermist,
building, the shop,
Ray DuPont.
first a post office for the town of Simmesport. Then in the early 1900s, it was converted into the first bank of Simmesport. And later thereon, around the 70s, I bought the property and converted it into what was a taxidermy shop.
I hope you don't tear it down, Mr. DuPont.
I don't plan to. I just plan to fix it up a bit.
DuPont didn't remember at first how old his tiny landmark is. We pressed him to find out, and for a peek inside, this is the washing machine he used to clean pelts.
And it works good too. It's better with the washer than by hand.
I'll bet.
I don't use it too often now.
But this was your taxidermy shop.
Yes, it was. And that's the type of heat I used to use in it, the old wood heater. That's quite all by itself. I see you looking, and this is a. Of course, I've had some. I worked on which was much bigger than this, but I like this one because of the form of it. You know,
It's pretty, yeah.
It's perfect, as you can see. And I just decided to keep it until I get something to mount it on that would
Do it justice?
do it justice.
There you go.
1840. Not on the National Register of Historic Places, but for anyone searching for the real Louisiana, it's a landmark, all the same, in Simmesport.
Just plan to fix it up a bit.
I hope you don't fix it up too much.
I plan to. I got the lump and everything for it.
Simmesport is the site of an important Civil War struggle, the Battle of Yellow Bayou. Wedging themselves in along thick cane brakes, the rebels attacked the army of Union General Nathaniel Banks, the Yankee intent on taking Shreveport. As we cross the Avoyelles-St. Landry parish line, we'll veer away from miles of farmland to Palmetto. This antebellum town was settled by a group of freed blacks on land owned by one of their number, named Prevost Rideau. An old store is another intrigue. Budden's is the remaining general store in this town. It's closed for the evening, but our luck is working overtime again. We hear Sure, I'll show you around, starting with the tin ceiling.
Jeff, I'd like to show you my father's store that he opened in 1934.
That's what it says outside.
Yes, there's a lot of history
That's what it
here.
looks like inside.
It hasn't changed too very much. We've tried to keep the old.
I love the tin ceiling.
Yes, we do too.
That's awesome.
I think it's been painted once. Once in the many years that it's been here. This is just an old-time hardware store. We have all your dishes, your housewares, plumbing, your nails, all your PVC pipe. Over here, my brother works on chainsaws over here and lawnmowers and things. We have all your nuts and bolts and
Laura Budden Allgood is daughter of the founder, who was also the first postmaster and the first to set up a cotton gin. This is the last of 7 stores in Palmetto. Laura figures when people got cars, they spent less locally. Of the maybe 400 people in Palmetto, many still do shop here. For that, we are glad.
this is where we keep our charge accounts. All of our customers that have charge accounts with us have a slot like
On paper.
on paper, handwritten, and these are current.
Oh, you're still using it?
Yes, yes. We have about 400 customers in this.
And you're still keeping your credit, your charge account that way. Hey.
Just local people.
Right, right.
Yeah.
On hand in these old stores, there's usually a supply of old things that just never did sell. Laura keeps some
One
of them to
is
bewilder
this.
out-of-towners who happen by.
It's coveralls, I mean, but, oh wait, no.
No, it's not coveralls.
What is it?
You
I
used
don't
to
know.
wear it over your shoulder, and you go through the cotton
Oh,
fields, and you pick cotton. That was your cotton sack.
I didn't
You've never
I didn't
seen
know they were
one?
that long.
This is a short one. This one's only let's see, this one's only 4.5 feet. They came, I think, as long as 8 feet. Can you guess what this is?
That's a caleçon.
What's a caleçon? What's that?
Caleçon is a drawers, is an underwear.
You knew this one!
But I knew the Cajun for it.
I love this. This is men's summer BVDs, and there's a little button back here for convenience.
Yeah.
I said, isn't that neat? There's very few people knew what this was. When I was a little girl, our house was connected to the store. The section of the store back there was our house, 3-bedroom house, living room, dining room, kitchen. And we attended school right across the street. We had so far to go that we just crossed the street. And during recess, as a little girl, I would always come over here to get my little snack at recess. Daddy'd put us to work. We had to help the other students and check them out. So as growing up, we always had food, anything we wanted. And, but Daddy made us work. When you came in the store, if there was work to be done, you were expected to help out.
And growing up in Little Palmetto was a good growing up, wasn't
Oh yes, wonderful, wonderful.
There was once a tiny ferry across the Atchafalaya at Melville. Louisiana's powerful Governor Huey Long, the story goes, didn't like the political support he got from Melville and drew the roads to ignore this town. There is still a tiny ferry. There's only a railroad bridge. South of here, Highway 190 crosses the river at Crot Springs for the cars, but you can still cross here on the 2-car ferry. Captain Vincent Bandy has worked on this river for 18 years.
True or false, the Atchafalaya is a very calm river.
Oh, that's false. It's calm when it's real, real low, but when it gets high, it gets a lot of current, swift, a lot of logs and drift coming down. It's a bad river. You can tell when it comes up right there by that bridge. You can hear it from right here. From when it comes up by that railroad bridge right there, you can hear the sound of the river going around those pilings, and it's pretty bad.
It's a simple arrangement. The ferry mostly stays on the Melville side. Only when someone has need does it make the trip.
We pick them up and go straight across the river. We don't have no schedule. They can have 100 people pull up. I can pick up one person right here, go to that side, drop him off. If another one pulls up, we come right back, pick him up, drop him off. Another one can pull up, we'll pick him up, go right back, drop him off. No schedule, on demand. That's how the people like it, that's how we run it.
The Melville Ferry takes us to the east bank of the Atchafalaya. Here, miles of sugarcane dominate the horizon. Here and there, families make their place along the farms and bayous. The river is getting low in this central Louisiana heat. Before our journey is over, it will cause us trouble. For now, there's another side of lost Louisiana even you and I may have ignored. The man-made replaces the natural, and maybe we too often see only our handiwork. While we're busy looking for endangered landmarks, have we forgotten there are even more fragile balances in nature? Richard Pace is hunting for bear. One of his best tools is a ladder because bears often make their dens in old trees, sometimes very tall, hollowed out old trees.
Sack. Get your stuff ready.
Pace is an LSU wildlife biologist specializing in bears, what they eat, where they live, especially how they breed.
It's going to be difficult to work her to get her out.
He wants to know how many bears live along this stretch of the
The way I talk
Atchafalaya.
about bears, it's only the females that really matter, as long as there's just a few males that go around to complete the seed, so to speak. We're going to a den tree. This bear's this is a broken off tree, Bob?
This is the Morganza Spillway. Here in Tensas Parish and throughout the Atchafalaya Basin, his team of researchers travel miles of woods and swamps, looking for bears. They'd also like to find young cubs. Up close, they look like little baby pigs, but hold one and you'll know they're formidable bears. There's an unusual fondness people have for bears. From Teddy Roosevelt to Yogi, we think of them as cuddly, and holding one, you can understand why, but for researchers here along the Atchafalaya, that is an unfortunate factor.
In wildlife biology, we talk of charismatic megafauna, big critters that people tend to gravitate towards.
The 3 cubs in the tree, it turns out, are females.
Try to keep their eyes out of the direct sunlight.
Okay.
This is our first set of triplets, I think.
With all of your research, what do you think are these 3 little ones' chances of surviving out here?
Well, they're pretty good. We're at an edge here where the woods start to get more and more fragmented as you go north from here. But as you go south from here, it's pretty solid timberlands, and we're inside the Morganza Spillway. Governmental restrictions on conversion of timberlands help, or at least will afford these bears a good chance to make it a normal lifespan.
The Louisiana black bear is a threatened subspecies. That's not as bad as endangered. But with more research, this team may have a better handle on how threatened our Louisiana black bear really is.
The rate at which bears die and the rate at which bears are born, that's much more important to when we're, or biologists, when we're trying to examine the potential for the long-term survival for a species.
With more information at hand about the bears, researchers and conservationists could have a better chance of helping them.
Kind of goes without saying, right?
Lost Louisiana, rivers run deep. Our journey along the Atchafalaya will continue. The Atchafalaya is picking up speed on its downhill jaunt to the Gulf of Mexico. This is our effort at pacing it, tasting its slices of life, and finding a lost Louisiana where rivers run deep. This is the Atchafalaya. Butte La Rose and Doucet's Store and Washateria and Car Wash, the basin's version of a strip mall. There's been a Doucet's store here for about 70 years, but this is the new one. South of Interstate 10, as long as you stay close to the Great Atchafalaya Basin, the houses look more like fishing camps, and many are named. The permanent icons are here, too, alongside polka-dotted clapboards and butte la rose. We were told of a spring-fed lake as clear as glass where the alligators slipped between dead cypress roots and the wind was always calm. Cow Island, it's called, and Cow Island Lake is where we wanted to go. The trouble is, you need a boat. We met Jimmy and Karen Noel. They have a boat. Butte la Rose has a boat launch. I have the nerve to ask. Equation solved.
No, we can't. We better cut across in the front over there to drive. This has got water. It's a river.
How much?
What's that? I don't know yet until we get there. I have no idea how much water they got in there. We're going to know in a little while.
South on the way around Cow Island, Jimmy Noel was worried we wouldn't have enough water to ford through to the interior lake, that the stream to get into it would be too low for his boat. Then what was surely a bad sign appeared, a poor alligator wrong side up and crossing our path.
He swole up. Oh, yeah. He's rotted. He's rotted. He's fixing a bus. That happens a lot over here. They get snagged on lines. Then they got the mangled line. They can't come up. He's been dead for a while. Don't smell too good.
True to his experience, Jimmy was right about the stream to Cow Island Lake. We'd have to walk.
That ain't gonna be easy to walk through there. It's gonna be hard walking through there.
As the egg hatching season for alligators approached, and as we had just recently been so impressed by even a dead one, we tread lightly to Cow Island. The luck had simply run out. A weir prevented any access to the fabled spring lake, and a retreat was the only option after just a minute enjoying this great, unspoiled wilderness. Sometimes, when we go looking for some specific lost Louisiana, we find something else just as nice. On to Breaux Bridge, not too far from the river, and surely a must-see. There don't seem to be any records of when the first bridge was built across Bayou Teche at Breaux Bridge. In the 1766 Spanish census, this place was called La Puente, to indicate a turn here in the bayou. In any event, in the Civil War, the bridge here, either the first or the second built, was intentionally destroyed by the folks who built it. You see, the federal troops were coming into town, and the rebels were forced to flee up the Teche to Opelousas. They were taking on supplies at the very last minute before the Yankee occupation from 4 steamboats. There was the Darby, the Louise, the Blue Hammock, and the Uncle Tom. Leaving behind only a few snipers to harass the invaders, the rebels all escaped. The bridge did not escape destruction. Its flames could be seen for miles around Bayou Teche as a last, desperate symbol of Southern independence. This is the sort of place where kids still lay down their bikes to buy a pop at an old store. It's the sort of place where locals and visitors lucky enough to stumble in sit for long lunches. This is the Café des Amis, and its genuine charm fits well into our expectation of a Cajun town. It wouldn't take a lunch hour to feel the genuine romance of Breaux Bridge. Breaux Bridge is not a put-on for the tourist, not a put-on at all. It seems to know its way just fine. Picturesque St. Martinville. On the town's busiest corner, Kathy Jeremy has recently opened a sprawling restaurant where a dry goods store, post office, and bakery all had once operated. Our luck was back this afternoon. She and Raymond Hebert were sitting around after work, ready to talk about this town.
Well, St. Martinville's probably the 4th oldest community in Louisiana, and it was an old trading post, a Takapaw trading post. It was incorporated in the early 1800s, but the history goes back much further than that. The Acadians arrived here after their expulsion in 1755, and the church directly behind you is the oldest church in the Diocese of Lafayette, which would include everything sort of west of the Mississippi River to the Texas border, south of Alexandria, say. That parish was established in 1765. The church building that you see was actually built in 1844, that particular church building.
Not only were the Acadians settled here, actually before the Acadians were settled here, there was a very affluent French culture that was here. In fact, many of the land grants that were given to the French aristocrats that were here in the early 1700s. So there's a lot of definite French influence, a lot of the old French names, which is very different from the Acadian names. And the European aspect of the church being in the middle of the town is very attractive to not only our American visitors, but to our European visitors as well.
Trying to get back on the river's course, the levees will keep you at bay. No matter on the way to Lake Foss Point State Park, lots of people pass by and some stop at Tim Robinson's concrete yard art stand.
During crawfish season, you got your crawfishmen, an awful lot of them going by here getting into the basin area. So right now they're doing some crabs, I think, but
it's so dry.
Oh, it's so dry right now, yeah. But as you're getting now, the water's dropping down. Once it gets down into the 2-3 foot area, then the bass and all that start running. So
he makes the concrete molds himself and makes some money selling to the visitors on their way to the park. They pretty much have to pass by. He came from Illinois to live in Louisiana. His wife, Sue, had once read a book on us and always wanted to visit. Now he says he wouldn't live anywhere else.
Wished I'd come down here when I left home the first time when I was 14.
Tell me why, really.
The people, the whole area is, you know, it's not rush. People are friendly.
There's nowhere to rush to around these parts.
No, not really. But the people are good-hearted, you know.
2 weeks ago, Robinson was left with babies to watch. A mama cat abandoned her kittens. At first, they weren't doing well, and one was bitten by a snake, but recovered.
They're about 5 to 6 weeks old right now. Yeah, they're about half what the size they really should be. But I think they're going to make it now. They're just starting to eat some good food now, so hopefully they'll make it. Maybe keep some of the mice down.
He says he doesn't know what to do with them, but I have a feeling he does. He'll keep taking care of them until they can do for themselves. Well, that being the case, Mr. Robinson, we're glad you joined us down here in Louisiana. Approaching the Gulf now, and the Spanish moss is hanging long. Pull into Jeanerette as early as you can any morning to smell the fresh French bread at LeJeune's bakery, established, get this, 1884. The red light tells you when the bread's hot. It stays on most of the day, actually. Rita and Alvin Landry keep some loaves on the warm oven into the afternoon. Miss Rita says just about every day this boy's grandfather sends him in to get a loaf.
It's really good. There's no better bread than LeJeune's bakery.
French bread, ginger cake, and hot dog bun.
C'est tout?
Yeah. Garlic bread. And then they're going to start making cookies. They're just getting ready for that.
Alvin Landry admits to baking ginger cakes every morning for only 58 years.
He says 58, but to my calculation, it's about almost 65.
Been in here 58.
Because he's 76, and he's been here since a young boy. When I first started here, I was a gingerbread lady. I got hired as a gingerbread lady to work with him. Just to cut, roll, and cut, and put them in the pans, put them up on the rack, and help him bag like you saw what we did today. But now we got 2 new helpers, so they will help him.
Their grandson Pancho helps out with the ginger cakes as well. Some are wrapped and sold in area stores. R.J. Knobb is a snack supplier.
This product is just phenomenal. Everybody that buys it is in love with it, and it's good for them.
We have people coming from way Alaska, Canada, and you name it. They hear about it in the little brochures that they send out, and they'll come and show it to us. That's what they heard about, and they have to come and get LeJeune's bait, and that's all they talk about.
People like to see the old way of doing things, huh?
A lot of them will come in with their cameras, take pictures with their families, and pictures of me sometime too, but sometimes I hide behind a break.
Patterson now, and coming into Morgan City. This is a unique place where you can park your tugboat right at the back door. Tugboat Jerry does just that. He's a tugboat captain. He's also a country music singer. He calls to ear the musical stylings of Ernest Tubb.
It goes like this. Yes, I know I've been untrue, and I have hurt you through and through, but please have mercy on this heart of mine and take me back and try me one more time. It's a lonely world when you're all alone, and there's no one to share every sorrow and care. There's no one to greet you at the close of the day. The sunshine may come in your heart, but never there to stay. They buy up my tapes wherever I go, my caps and all that, and they all come up to me and tell me how they loved Ernest Tubb, you know, his fans. And wherever I go, I think I'm collecting his fans, and they become Tugboat Jerry fans.
Tugboat Jerry also carves his favorite country music stars on matchsticks.
And then I got Chris Gustafson over here.
And toothpicks.
Okay, this one's Dolly Parton, Porter Wagner, Lil Jimmy Dickens, Hank Williams.
Hank's very good. You did the hat very well.
Well, thank you. Minnie Pearl, and then Roy Ecuff, Ernest Tubb, Hank Snow, Jimmy C. Newman, Grandpa Jones, Ralph Emery before he cut his beard off.
Yeah.
And then John Conley with the rose-colored glasses.
Oh, exactly. Yeah.
And down here is Kathy Baker. This is all a hee-haw gang. Kathy Baker, Lulu Roman, Gordy Tapp, and I can't remember this girl's name, but she was married to Roy, Kenny Rogers.
Okay.
That's the Hager twins.
Yeah.
This is one of the girls on hee-haw. Buck Owens, Roy Clark, Misty Rowe, Archie Campbell, Lisa Todd, Junior Samples.
BR 549.
You know, Ronnie Stallman, she's a good friend of mine.
What's great is the dog.
And the dog.
Blue.
I forgot his name. Blue.
Where's String Bean McPole?
String Bean? I had him in there. I had him here next to Dolly Parton, and moving it around, it broke off and fell, and I never could find him anymore.
Oh, that's terrific.
The miniature masterpieces are meticulously painted with expressions and detail. Tugboat Jerry sometimes makes a calling card with them to meet country stars. He's already met and is friends with dozens, as his scrapbook will attest. And he has a life-size statue of his favorite female country singer out back.
And I'm redoing it now because it's been in the shed a long time, and every time Dolly Parton makes changes, I've got to make some changes on the statue. So
you keep up with her.
Yeah, I started working on it again, sanded the head down a little bit, the hair, and got to redo everything and paint it up.
And Tugboat, tell me what this is all about.
Well, when I carved the statue I was working on a pipeline, and this guy picked up the cypress tree, and I started carving Dolly Parton, and then when I got to the top, it started getting narrow. So
it was getting too narrow for top-heavy Dolly?
Right,
that's right. The cypress knee was not Dolly-shaped, right?
So what I did, this was the original, but when I was at a festival one time, this big bust girl told me, brought it to my attention.
It was wrong?
It was wrong, so I agreed with her. So after the festival was over, I come home and I cut this part off, and I extended the hand, and
then I got busy with other things and didn't finish it. Ernest Tubb always was my favorite male singer.
Yeah.
And Dolly was always the female singer that I really admired, and she was so pretty. She always reminded me of a brand new tugboat pushing 2 barges.
That's pretty.
Tugboat's wife, Martha, takes care of the business and promotion angles for Tugboat Jerry. She's a little shyer than the country star she married. Tugboat Jerry has a bus with the slogan of his act painted on the side. In Patterson, we asked Tugboat for a few bars of a river song to get us on our way on the final leg of the Atchafalaya, and found he does a pretty good job with Johnny Cash, too.
Well, I taught the weeping willow how to cry, and I showed the clouds how to cover up a clear blue sky, and the tears I cried for that woman gonna flood you, big river. I'm gonna sit right here until I die. Yodelay, yodelay, hey, yodelay.
Old stores, fading signs, disappearing landmarks, and finally art and music of some of the people you'd find along the Atchafalaya River. You might expect that we would end our journey here in Morgan City as we head toward the Gulf, but even here, where the water is sometimes indistinguishable from the land's end, we can find perhaps one more story in our search for lost Louisiana if we'll just listen carefully enough. Among the soft winds and sweep of small waves across Ile Jean-Charles, there's another timeless sound. It's Wenceslaw Billiot building a boat.
I don't know, I don't like the fiberglass, but I like to build my own. That's something, I'd rather build something my own than buy a fiberglass. Even if it's higher, even if it's twice higher the price, I'd rather build my own. It be sand down.
Needless to say, his plans exist only in his head. Needless to say, he learned to shape wood some 50 years ago. At 72, Wenceslaw Billiot is, needless to say, one of a vanishing breed. A man who places importance on doing things himself, doing things right, even if it takes a longer time, even if it is harder.
A lot of people move away when they get old enough. They move from here.
Not the old people.
Not the old people.
Yeah.
No.
Billiot built his house
They
and
figure
shed and an uncounted
would
number of
surround
these
the
unusual pirogues.
bomb.
They have a curved bottom. Most Cajuns' gifts are flat bottom, but his are bowed, the better to slip over the muddy marsh bottom.
You can go in the mud, which you can slide better in the mud.
Slide.
Yeah.
You slide sideways too. You
yeah.
could.
You can slide sideways.
Because this is going this
right.
way and it's going
right.
this way.
And
Does that
then,
make, is that better for
yeah, to make it turn, to turn around.
All right.
Then if you got flat bottom, you're going stuck. Then you won't be able to turn nowhere around.
It's slick.
Yeah, it's sticking there.
It's the sport car model.
Right.
That bow in his boat lets it slip free. It's a better design. If you'll wander all the way down the Atchafalaya and over to Ile de Jean-Charles, you'll understand the value in taking your time. Down here, there's a lot of time to understand that.
Some people say, oh, you put too much snail in there. So when you want to break that, it's going to all come out by piece. I didn't build that to break it.
Yes, exactly.
I built that to stick.
That's right.
That's about what you'll see along the Atchafalaya in a day or so. What remains of this day is a sigh that Louisiana can hold so many simple wonders.